Okay, thank you. Meeting call to order. This is the council meeting from October 7th, 2024. Thank you, Council Donaldson, for the territorial acknowledgement earlier this evening. Council, you have an agenda before you. We have a number of pinks, correspondence from the public. We'll place them at part 11C, D, and E. With that, do I have any other additions for the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Yes. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have public purchase.
Just to mention, I'll recuse at item 12A, bylaw 704, with regards to a tax exemption for the Metchosin Community Hall.
Okay. And right now we have public participation. If you wish to speak to anything, if you could come to the mic and give us your name and the road that you live on. And you have 4 minutes. Do you have that set up? Great.
Jim McPherson, Eagle Tree Place. I just wanted to, it's not a question or it's more of a comment I suppose, but recently on Czech News, Penny Stone, Executive Director of the Victoria Humane Society, stated that the society had bought 38 acres in Metchosin, seemingly on the border with Langford. I'm not precisely sure what the location, but it seems to be adjacent to the bufferlands. Ms. Stone has indicated that she also intends to raise $1.5 million or more, in addition to the $2 million that she's already spent, in furthering and developing facilities to conduct an animal shelter to assess a significantly large number of animals. I've been given to understand that this property is zoned uplands. My question basically relates to the bylaws covering an animal shelter as it pertains to that zoning, as the requirements with regard to noise, community support, and the possibility of a subdivision by the new owner. And this is more for a matter of public interest as much as anything else. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Brent Donaldson, Chalister Court. Just a brief comment about an agenda item regarding a recommendation from the District of Central Saanich as it relates to CRD taking more of a proactive role in ALR, essentially taking over for the Peninsula Agriculture Commission. I have been a member of that commission. I was one of the founding members of the Agricultural Committee here in Metchosin. And certainly having another level of government, I think is problematic. We deal with that so much in the Greater Victoria area CRD. I'm sure all those employees do good work, but to me, we just lose contact face-to-face with the residents and the like. Certainly the examples that Ms. Tunnicliffe have put forward, that many of the board members of the CRD represent Victoria, Esquimalt, Colwood, Sydney, Highlands, Free Royal, Oak Bay, and Langford, none of which have ALR land. So I think it's important that we maintain our current structure. Those members that are on PAC right now are all farming type communities. So to go down the road of pushing this over to the CRD, I think is a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak this evening?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and community members. My name's Katie Underwood. I live on Montrose Avenue in Victoria, but I farm in Saanich, and I'm here as a representative from the South Island Farmers Institute. South Island Farmers Institute is a dynamic group of floral, food, fiber, producers on the South Island. We are an impetus of PAC, and we help fulfill its mandate to foster farmland stewardship that embraces environmental and other community values, increase public awareness, education, and support for a sustainable farm community, and establish a continuing focal point for farm issues and implementation of the strategy. As you know, Central Saanich called a governance review of PAC on October 10th of 2023, and still a year later, the review has not been initiated.
Oh, keep going.
Okay. At the past September 9th council meeting, Central Saanich has reconfirmed their commitment to review the PAC terms of reference as the staff recommendation as follows. Member municipalities proceed with the terms of reference review for PAC, with drafts and changes going to PAC for the information and feedback prior to the end of 2024, and that once PAC has been consulted, the revised terms of reference be referred to each member municipality in early 2025 for their consideration of adoption. PAC's definitely on board with this. At this time, member municipalities have not received a request from Central Saanich to complete this review. Meanwhile, Central Saanich has submitted a letter to the CRD encouraging them to take over the governance of PAC, as you know. I'd just like to be here tonight to let you all know that the South Island Farmers Institute knows that this would fundamentally change the essential work of the Peninsula and Area Agriculture Commission. PAC's most important work is communicating and advising municipalities on complex area OCPs and bylaws, meeting provincial legislation and ALC policy. If the CRD had a service budget in place and officially adopted PAC, PAC would no longer be able to fulfill its function as a CRD commission, as they report to the board of directors and not to member municipalities directly, which is what PAC does now. We hope that Metchosin considers the implications of this request and change when brought to the table of the CRD, and encourage you all to support the terms of reference review as the priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak this evening? Okay, thank you. Seeing no other members of the public want to speak at the podium, we'll continue. We have the adoption of the minutes from September 9th on page 5 of the council agenda.
Move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And then we have the receipt of minutes from the Special Community Planning Committee meeting on page 11. Councillor Shukin.
Move receipt.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Gray. Councillor Gray. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And then we have the mayor's report. Okay. Many of you have heard that there was an announcement in August from Nancy Dean regarding 56 new childcare spaces in Metchosin to be at Hans Helgeson Elementary School. This is very good news for parents who are searching for childcare within our community. This was part of the Childcare BC plan offering new childcare spaces within the West Shore. So I think that's a welcome addition to Metchosin. Regarding the CRD, lots is happening at the CRD. One of the things that happened just last month was that the CRD is now moving forward with an electoral approval for the bylaw establishing the Regional Transportation Service. This will align transportation with growth planning and advance the CRD's priorities of supporting residents' access to convenient, green, and affordable multimodal transportation systems. And this is not meant to be redundant with BC Transit, but to augment and to show that the region needs to be updated in terms of its transportation needs, and to attract funding from the federal government. As Councillor Donaldson mentioned, Councillor Shukin and Councillor Donaldson, CAO Pyatt, and I attended the Union of BC Municipalities Convention in September. I think what is most significant when I attend these meetings is I really understand that we're not unique, that there's a lot of communities that are on the small to medium size that are struggling with very, very similar issues. Many of them are saying, well, we need a new fire hall, but we also need new tennis courts, and we need recreation facilities, and we need more of a tax base because we've got so many residents. So that is interesting, having conversations with people from all over the province. As Councillor Donaldson mentioned, we had these ministerial meetings, and I think going forward we will always have ministerial meetings. I was doubtful, given the election year, whether they would be fruitful, but they did listen to our concerns, and it was really closing loop. So we put forward these resolutions to UBCM, and the resolutions passed, and we're following up with them, making sure that the ministers in charge of those portfolios understand that we are serious about our requests in a respectful manner. And for me, the meeting that we had with Honourable Nathan Cullen, the Minister for Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, regarding protection of groundwater, and the need for Metchosin to have a Metchosin-based observation well. I think that was quite fruitful, and they were very interested in. And Minister Collins sort of was a bit appalled that we didn't have an observation well in Metchosin, and so the staff did a lot of note taking, and so I think that throughout the year, if we have issues that we are passionate about, that is pertaining to our community and citizens, I think we should bring those forward to whatever ministry that is responsible for that. So that was good. Many of the themes, of course, we heard a lot about housing, but I didn't really hear anything new, except for that the provincial government was very serious about moving forward with housing, and that during the conference there were two communities, the Royal and Souk, that were denied their grant, the extension for that. So that was unfortunate for them, but the province did say that they were very serious. And then the resolution section, that's democracy in action. That's always an interesting session to see what people are very passionate about, and our resolutions did pass. So that was good news.
Mayor Little?
Yes.
Sorry, I won't get a chance to talk about UBCM.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just to echo what you said, from time to time this council has decided we're going to dabble in big picture issues like old growth forests and biodiversity, water and watershed issues like in Anchorages as well, which is a massive issue.
Mm-hmm.
So UBCM does give us a chance to talk to players at that higher level. So that the ministerial meetings were really great. And I think we met all told with upwards of 15 staff. So even though the politicians may not be there or in the same roles, we met with staff. And one other thing, just to echo what you were saying about housing, is the thing, we got a chance to hear from all three of the big political leaders. Mm-hmm. And the thing that struck me is how pivotal this coming election is going to be to BC, but especially to Metchosin. Because there's the governing party, the former governing party, they are dead serious about creating housing opportunities. And they're not going to tolerate laggards. The other party said they would rip up Bill 44, but they too want to do something about housing. So it is going to be a very interesting outcome. So sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine. What we also heard, the three of us, there was the addresses from all three political parties, and it was really very interesting to hear their different bents and their different pitches. So that was a really great opportunity for me to hear the three leaders. So next year UBCM is in Victoria, so we won't have the added expense of accommodation. So I'm hoping that everybody can go. Okay, in early September, I attended the 50th anniversary celebrations of Pearson College. That was hosted by Honourable Janet Austin, our Lieutenant Governor of BC. We were entertained by these many talents of the Pearson College students. It was a really fun night. Anyways, if you're in the community, mention to them happy anniversary. Ambassador Bob Ray was the keynote address. What a dynamic chap. He didn't have any notes with him, and he spoke for 30 minutes, and It was very entertaining, but I hadn't realized that he knew Lester B. Pearson and had many meetings with him. There was Lester B. Pearson's grandson in the audience, and it was very entertaining. And I have added respect now for Minister Bob, or Ambassador Bob Ray. He was an incredibly articulate and diverse individual. That was an interesting opportunity. Last week there was a flag raising ceremony that I was reminded 3 times to attend, so I attended. That was at the City Hall in Victoria. That's with the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, and they advocate, for instance, for the increase of payments for old age security for retired persons. And then finally, October is Foster Family Month, and the District of Metchosin wishes to express our gratitude and sincere appreciation for the important role foster caregivers undertake throughout the province and in Metchosin. And this is often caring for the most vulnerable children and youth in our region. So we say thank you and celebrate with them October Foster Family Month. And that's it. That concludes my mayor's report. Moving along to business reports for action. We've got a request for a development variance permit, 3940 High Mount Drive. This is on page 19 of your agenda. And CAO Payette, were you going to introduce these? Thank you.
Okay, through the chair, I can get the ball rolling on the discussion. So on page 19, request for variance permit 3940 High Mount Drive. And it was brought forward at the planning committee with lots of detail, and then council had an opportunity to visit the site. There's excellent information on this report in terms of policy context. So the actual variance request is a reduced rear yard setback for a proposed principal dwelling on proposed lot 1, and it will have minimal impact on the 2 existing neighboring residents. And as the separation distances range from 55 meters to 80 meters, and there will be minimum impact to municipal parkland. There's some discussion about the strip of parkland at the back of the property, which council had a chance to look at and discuss. So expect there'll be comments on that tonight, and the variance is recommended by staff.
Okay, that's great. Councillor Shukin, do you want to lead the discussion?
Sure. Mayor Little, I don't think we need to make much ado of this. At least I don't think. At least I don't. And I would like to move. We go with option 1, which is the recommendation from the planner that we accept the variance, moving the rear yard setback from 10 meters to 4.8, and this be subject to the successful subdivision application. So moved. And one quick comment after that.
Okay, this is moved by Councillor Shukin and seconded by Councillor Epp. Discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Shukin.
The only other thing I will make is just a thank you to the applicants for allowing us to see the property and have a full walkthrough. They were very well aware that there is a park behind, and that they were asking for a variance from a rear yard from the rear setback that backs onto a park. So they were well aware of that.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Epp, did you want to say anything?
No, I really couldn't see any problem with it, so.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, it's good having a site visit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it was good. They accommodated us very well in, they had actually spray painted on the ground to show their mother-in-law where they taped it, and even where the toilet would be in the house. So sort of like a plan of the house, which was really kind of good for us to visualize a little bit, and that may change, but, and we were able to walk around. And it's just the one corner of that foundation, actually. The rest of the building is not within any rears of setbacks, and this is a small amount of space. They've already done some preliminary survey, so you can actually see where the property line was and where the park was, this substantial forested area with green space that belongs to the district there. So an asset, actually, because it wraps right around kind of their property, which is quite lovely. But no, I think that they've been working with the fire chief and the staff as to what they need to do to make this work, and it looks pretty simple.
Okay.
Just a minor variance, really.
And Councillor Gray, did you want to weigh in?
No questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I echo the comments made. This one was pretty simple for me, but I really did appreciate the site visit because that made it all the more clear. Yeah. Okay, with that I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? No one opposed. That's unanimous. Thank you for that. We'll move along to the second one. This is the request for a development variance at 4290 Metchosin Road. CEO Payette.
Okay, through the chair again, chance for council to go on site and have a look and discussion with the owner of the property, and staff is recommending the variance application, and similarly there's good information under the policy context, and under discussion it discusses building setbacks help ensure that structures maintain adequate separation from neighboring structures, streets, and property lines for access, safety, privacy, and consistency of neighborhood aesthetics. Setbacks also ensure the location of the structure does not impede the enjoyment of a neighboring property. The proposed variance to the northerly side yard line is discussed, and then the proposed variance to the front yard line is discussed. Council had a chance to visualize that, and again, the staff are recommending the variance.
Councillor Shuka.
Thank you very much, Mayor Little. I'll make a motion to adopt option 1, which is the recommendation that the front yard setback be adopted or be granted, moving the setback from 7.5 meters to 5.2 meters. So again, a recommendation to go with option 1.
Okay. This is moved by Councillor Shuken, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Councillor Shuken.
Again, just want to thank the applicants for allowing us to tour the site and see what we could see. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Gray.
Through the chair, but wanted to ask CAO, there's a note on page 34 of the agenda saying that the building inspector has the option to request the owner submit a statutory declaration or register a restrictive covenant on title of the property assuring the compliant use of the accessory building. So my question is, will that option be exercised?
I don't know if I can say yes or no. Actually, I have to get back to you on that. I would speculate yes, but I really have to talk to the building inspector depending on the decision, and then get back to you on that one. Okay.
Would we need a motion to that effect, perhaps? Or an amendment to this motion, maybe? Or is the second motion?
Yeah. You know, my understanding is that, because if it is, there is a principal dwelling, as in the new house, and the current dwelling is decommissioned, that is just the way things have to be. because unless you apply for a detached secondary suite, again, which would come with a variance. So, sorry, I'm probably speaking out of turn. I guess I don't know, but our bylaw will state you are only allowed to have one dwelling plus a detached or attached secondary suite. I suspect our building inspector will be pretty diligent in making sure that that's going to happen. But
Okay.
so, but yeah, that is up to staff. So.
So the CEO will confer with the building inspector and the planner and get back to us on that regarding the original motion regarding the front yard setback from 7.5 to 2.5. That this is option 1.
7.5 to 5.25.
Sorry, what did I say? I'm sorry, 7.5 to 5.25. Right. Anybody else wish to comment on this? It seemed like minor. We were able to also look to the neighbors. We have a letter in our pinks from Miss Clark, one of the neighbors that is next to the property, and there's no objections to that, which is good.
Excuse me. I think the letter's in relation to Duke Road, or is it a different letter?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. That was for Duke Road. That's right. Yeah, this is the Metchosin Road. So this this one, there was 2 variances asked for, right? And the one that is recommended by the planner is the front yard setback 7.5 to 5.25. We're all on the same one now. Sorry about that. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the statement that Councillor Gray has raised here about registering a restrictive covenant on title and the purpose of that. I know that the building will be decommissioned, as that is what the requirement is, and I actually asked the building inspector what did that entail, because I wasn't quite sure. I hear different things, and I'm not a building inspector, so I don't know. So it was interesting to understand that there's a certain size of square feet for an accessory building, a maximum size. There to be no bedrooms, which I'm not sure how you would do, because that is probably already established, but no bedrooms. The range would need to be taken out, the plug would need to be taken out and disconnected from the panel. So that was interesting. Allowed to have a bar sink in there, and in this case they want to use it as a workshop for as well as for their agricultural activities, whether that be washing up vegetables or whatever. Yeah, so that was interesting. But the fact that it's a house, and there are places in this community where people build a house and decommission it and then go and live in it again. So I don't know if that's what maybe Councillor Gray was curious as to, are we going to register a restrictive covenant on it or not? I really don't know. So I'm looking forward to hearing what staff has to say about that, or if they can expand more on that with us.
Okay.
I know that there's a timeline here that the owners would like to get into a new house, so they want to get moving on the variance part of things for sure.
Right. Okay. Okay, I think we can move this and debate it thoroughly without the added information from the building inspector and the planner. Is that okay with everybody, or would you prefer to defeat this motion, table this until further notice? Councillor Epp.
Well, it does say in a statement that it's at the time of the building permit issuance, so that would be at the time the building permit is being issued to convert the building, so it's kind of in the future. I think we can move on with what we're doing, and the building inspector will be dealing with that one.
Okay.
Seems to me.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. That's great. Anybody else wish to comment on this variance application? Okay, so the motion is option not 1 to issue the variance permit 2401 as per the recommendations. I hope that's clear with everybody. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to the third variance request. This is the request for development's variance permit for 3771 Duke Road. Thank you.
Okay, through the chair again, here we had a chance to visit the Duke Road request, and that, if you remember, had the D&D land in the back and the nice high hedge, very nice hedge on the side. Pretty nice, I thought. And so under the discussion, as shown on the site survey plan, there's limited area for a secondary suite addition due to the current location of the principal dwelling. Adding a secondary suite to the rear of the dwelling will create the least impact to existing residential neighbors, reducing the rear yard from 10 meters to 7.5 meters and reducing the side yard from 3 to 2.4 is a modest reduction that does not require any existing trees to be removed and still allows enough space for existing vegetation to be maintained. Reducing the southerly side setback will allow for an accessibility entrance with appropriate turning radius for a wheelchair or scooter. There's no indication, like there'd be no changes to the size of the secondary suite. That would all conform with the permit, so it all fits with the setbacks.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Epp.
I'm sorry. Just going to say, I think it's really a reasonable request, and I will move option 1, issue development variance permit 24-04 as per recommendation.
Second.
This is moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Discussion.
Just again, want to thank the property owners, Dennis and Jeanette McMillan, for showing us the site. I also want to thank the planner as well for doing 3 really great reports to help us fathom all of these. So, yeah, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else wish to weigh in? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say again, in doing a site visit, just sometimes when you look at, even when you look at an aerial view and you think you know where everything's laid out, and the drawings, and the question I had when this came to us 2 weeks ago was, why did it kind of jut out? Why didn't it just go with the same, lineage of the house? And I suspected, but I couldn't see from south. And there are 3 windows in the lower part of the house, the basement, that are either parts of bedroom, bathroom, that sort of thing. But you cannot cover up windows if you want to have emergency egress, say. And so that was what was being considered. So they looked at a lot of different things. The placement of it is nowhere near the neighbors' houses, the way the houses are situated. So it certainly is a lovely fit. There's a lot of thought been put into aging in place and how it's going to work for them in this particular property and attaching it to the house too. So it's minimal impact on the house itself, so and the property. So it's, yeah, it was good to see just a fit.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I concur with what has already been said, so I won't repeat that. But thank you for the applicant for their transparency and for allowing us such a great site visit. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. It passes. And we have reports for information. On page 57, we have a report to council. Mr. Creek, do you want to introduce this? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is regarding the E-Comm 911 service. It's more a contentious issue for everybody on the South Island because the province has previously been paying for this and they will continue to until the end of March of 2025. at which point they would like to put that onto the residents in our district and every other municipality on the South Island at a estimated cost of $119,000 per year. So that would be, based on 2024 assessments, about a 3.1% tax increase, or 3.2. And then, as that only covers from April to December, a full year would end up costing us about $159,000, which would then add another percent come 2026. Now, it's a little up in the air as the election, and maybe there could be a change, but being prudent, we'll have to budget for it now. Potentially, we'll have an answer by March. We could remove it if it's being funded a different way, or if the province is willing to take it back on. They were noting that E-Comm 911 service has been underfunded for the last number of years, resulting in a big deficit for them. It's part of the reason why they want to put it on to everybody down here. Can't say much on that. And then they did say in a most recent letter that costs could go up even further based on the right to text legislation coming from the CRTC. If that happens, sounds like they're going to add on something more. Again, we have no idea. The contract that they sent us for comment by the end of October has a range on what the cost would be, so 105 to 119. Again, they suggested a budget on the high end, so that's what we'll be doing. But that's about it. Fortunately, there's not a lot of finality on it right now.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions of our CFO? So, go ahead.
I guess, Mayor Little, our last meeting, we learned about the letter the mayors had sent. And I wondered, has there been any response to that letter?
No, there hasn't been any response, but the mayors that of the South Island, as many as we could get together, have met. We met here with the West Shore mayors as well to discuss this. There is upcoming meetings because we all agree and are all quite alarmed by this, because this is a significant download to the municipalities. It's unfair because it's just the South Island that will be paying for this for now. Anyways, the E-Comm 911 service. So it's inequitable, and that is a significant expense for Metchosin with very little notice. In December, we were told that we may be responsible for this, but we weren't given any numbers. And that those numbers were given in the latest communications in September. So it doesn't really give us a lot of time to move. So we will be fighting this and letting the province know that we don't agree with this, and we would like to look to other options. Anyways, so any further comment from everybody? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Little. And I would encourage, and you of course don't need any encouragement, to keep talking about this with the other mayors. Mm-hmm. And this is E-Comm 911 governance has been a big issue over the last few years, and even at UBCM last year there was another resolution encouraging the province to make headway and work with E-Comm 911 to address some of their issues. Governance is a big one because, as I understand it, this is what's described as a member-based corporation. So even though the province does have some linkages here, it's a sort of a standalone corporation, if you will, with so many of the board members, I believe, based in the mainland. So governance is a big thing, which leads to things like capital investment as well and decisions there, but also funding is a big issue. And one of the, there was a report that was done, just released I think in February, that calls for a levy on cell phones, which is very consistent with many of the other provinces in Canada. So I think to me that strikes me as a place where you can actually get dynamic and sustainable funding. The report points out that something like 92% of homes in BC have cell phones. So it is a good source and a good way of consistent funding. So,
Which other provinces do this?
so as I understand it from the report, it's Alberta, Quebec, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and PEI all have cell phone levies to take care of this service. So, great.
And as I understand, there used to be, or there now is, a landline levy, and so many people are giving up their
Yeah.
landlines. It seems to me that it would be a natural migration to similar to the other provinces. Okay, well, stay tuned.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Freed. On page 59 of the agenda package, we have correspondence for information. We have a letter from Minister Heyman, Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy regarding cougar predation in sheep in Metchosin. Have I gone ahead?
Page 59 is the one.
Sorry, yeah, I have gone ahead. Let's go back to page 59. This is, thank you. This is the backpack project. So previously we have had the backpack project in the district of Metchosin. They would like to know if they could again use space in the front lobby of the municipal hall for their donation box and their posters. And if we can respond as soon as possible before November 1st. What does council say? Councillor Gray?
Well, I support this project.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do as well. I've actually, in the past, have been in touch with Niki. She's a Colwood resident. They do great work. What is very helpful is having a list of things that can go into the box. So hopefully they'll provide that with us. And if we could put that on our website and share with our residents too, that would be useful.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept their box in the foyer for the duration that they're requesting here, and that we obtain a list of products that they require that goes on our website.
Okay. This is moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by, do you want to second that, Councillor Gray? Second by Councillor Gray. Discussion? No? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And then we have a request on page 61 from the Girl Guides. And this was for Saturday, April 26th. They would like to use the field and the bandstand as they have in previous years between 10 and 4 for training for their young participants. They would ask also that the fees be waived. They would be about $170, keeping in mind that they do a great service for our communities. I went and spoke actually at the Girl Guides a few months ago. Had a lovely evening with them. They showed me their badges that they were working on. They were very proud, very articulate. They wanted to know why I wanted to be mayor. Anyways, it was an entertaining meeting, but they do things within Metchosin, such as at the Apple Fest and serving tea at Metchosin Day. What say you? I would support this.
Yes, absolutely. I actually had to message my son today saying, what's a buddy burner? So he sent me a link to Scouts Canada, of course, which is where I should have gone. So that's what I sent to all of you this afternoon, so now I know how to make a buddy burner. No, this is a great opportunity for them to have a skills day and get all their youth in, not just their one group, but all of their groups together. They actually approached me recently. They want to come out for Remembrance Day again and march with us and lay a wreath, and could they say something? So they're very cognizant. We do have a few Girl Guides in Metchosin. I don't know how many, but it's always wonderful seeing them participate in our community and the West Shore municipalities, all of them. So yeah, it'd be great to support them for sure.
Okay, so there's a number of things that staff would have to, they'd have to notify the cricketers, make sure they have water availability, make sure that the washrooms are open. And if I could take a motion to approve this and waive the fees for the Girl Guides, that would be great.
A motion to approve the request of the Girl Guides from the Straits District to participate here at our pavilion and on our grounds, and that the staff accommodate some of the wishes they're asking here, the logistics.
Okay, that's moved by Council Donaldson, seconded by Councilor Schumann. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. So now we have the correspondence for information. So this is a letter from Honorable George Heyman, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy, regarding our letter regarding cougar predation. They talked about cougar predation, the Conservation Office and the officers, strategies that they endorse. They also say that we could pay for enhanced services ourselves, which I would fight back on as well. It seems like there's a lot of downloading going on to municipalities without sufficient compensation. So this is for your information. Did anybody have any comments regarding this? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is similar to what I learned even at UBCM when I attended a session on human-wildlife conflict. Now, having said that, I've learned a lot this year about this subject, and still we're not getting any significant support for the farmers that are dealing with this. In the session that I was in at UBCM, there were conservation officers there, quite a few of them. There were representatives from, similar to what we have here with Molly Cameron and Wildwise, doing great work up in Whistler, and they have wildlife attractant bylaw, which I've actually printed off for us to consider at some point in the future. We have a very healthy biodiversity population on this island. They're thriving, both bears and cougars. What's happening locally is there are opportunities, but it's humans that are causing the conflict. Mm-hmm. We've stripped out land of all the trees and their habitat in the industrial park. We've opened up over 4,000 acres across the highway for us to recreate and hike with and bike and this sort of stuff. So they are feeling displaced, and so they're coming to Metchosin and they're hunting here. They're also going into urban areas, but that's not helping our farmers. And we didn't have this problem 30 years ago. Probably not even 10 years ago. And I've been here over 35 and didn't ever have a problem with cougars. Bears, we had a problem with a few years back. So I don't know if it's going to settle or not, but and there's only just a few of them that seem to come this way. But we are hearing that they're going into urban areas as well, and then that's where there's more action being taken because there's more threat to life now, having human life. Having said that, we've had that here as well. The day we had our photo shoot on Bear Bay Sheep Farm was a cougar killed on the opposite end of the property. Mm-hmm. And my neighbor above the way had the wherewithal to, escort a mother and stroller off of the trail at the time. The same thing happened on Flush Road where a lady was being stalked with her child. So we do have those sorts of things happening, and I think that if we continue working with people like Molly Cameron and educating people on the bear attractant. I phoned GFL. You can get bear-resistant totes for your garbage. There's a fee, of course. You can buy it outright for $250 for one, or you can pay a fee by the month for it as well. So those are things I think education helps. Still not helping our farmers, but everybody has to take responsibility in this. Hiring staff isn't just going to be something that we can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Anybody else wish to comment? Okay, so this was here for your information. Moving now to page 71, we have a letter from the Director, Ryan Windsor, the Mayor of the District of Central Saanich regarding the Peninsula and Area Agricultural Commission. So they have requested a notice of motion that'll be this week on the Wednesday agenda. So there will be a notice of motion on the agenda that's not voted on, but it will go to the Planning and Protective Services Committee, and then it will go to the full board. So I'm looking for some input from council regarding this. I'm inclined to support the PAC, as well as some of the farmers that have written in regarding adding another layer of bureaucracy to a citizens commission. There have been some meetings regarding the governance review, and I think the PAC welcomed the governance review, but this seems to me a little bit heavy-handed. And I, as a director of the board, we've only got one taxpayer, right? And if the CRD is taking on more and more services, that will be incurred at the tax base in Metchosin as well. So I would be, I'll keep an open mind, of course, at the CRD board table when this comes up. But I would like some direction from council in terms of what is your opinion on what you've read, and the Peninsula Area Agricultural Commission, their annual reports are on the website. The last one was 2022, delivered in 2023. The terms of reference are there, and I guess that's going to be worked on as well. So, Councillor Gray and Councillor Shukin.
I just had a question about the role of the Peninsula and Area Agriculture Commission and our very own Agricultural Advisory Select Committee. There seems to be considerable overlap, and I wonder, I think we pay money to the Peninsula and Area Agriculture Commission, and how is it different from our advisory committee? Specifically, we have new recommendations we've adopted recommendations on our agricultural plan, which I think increase the overlap. Do we continue being party to the Peninsula Area Commission, or do we do our own thing, i.e. remove the bureaucracy and all that? We just talked about the CRD.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that there are redundant committees. I think that the Peninsula Area Agricultural Commission does provide extra benefit to Metchosin, and I think there is something to be said of being part of a regional plan, as well with Central Saanich, North Saanich, parts of Saanich, and Metchosin. They've been operating for 27 years, and I think that they're linked as a unifying force of advocacy for farmers within the region, whereas our Agriculture Advisory Committee is specific to give advice back to Metchosin.
Thank you. Maybe others could illuminate that further. The other question I had was, is there an advantage of the CRD in terms of getting staff support? We're not really able to give staff support. Is there an advantage there?
I don't know. I don't know whether they're requesting staff support. They have their own meetings, and I think they spend some of their money on a consultant with their annual reports. They're quite professional looking. I haven't heard that as a request from the Peninsula Area Agricultural Commission. There was considerable support when a survey was conducted. I think 95% of people were in support of keeping PAC, and they showed support from the Central Saanich residents. I guess that's all I can say. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Metchosin has been a member of PAC for many, many years, and the wealth of knowledge that you can exchange between farmers and their various experiences the peninsula farming is a lot different than the farming we do here. And so it's always important to keep our minds open. And we are, as you said in your report earlier about UBCM, we are not unique all by our little selves. We are unique in that we have something to offer and to learn, and same as having a community garden is getting the exchange of information, and it's a strong advocacy group. I've learned a lot from the different things that they have sponsored. Same with the South Island Farmers Institute, which is 1 year new, putting on different conferences and field things and that. So these are happening things and bringing farmers together in a time when food security is almost non-existent. We don't want to get into that, insecurity. We're trying to build it back up the other way. So staff, if they know how to farm, maybe that would be an asset, but I suspect they're more going to be working with the paper part of stuff. But this group has been functioning quite well without having staff when they have their member communities as their farming communities as part of their support and their voice. I don't know how. I suspect because you're our representative, you're going to be able to share what we expect, at least in Metchosin, as a farming community, and go forth and explain that to your colleagues at the table who are not farmers. Mm-hmm. And if they want to become farmers, then they can come talk to us. Mm-hmm. But people speak best when they have the experience and the knowledge rather than not. So I think that this group is a strong advocacy group for farmers in the area. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of surprised to see this notice of motion where it's going to go. And I read into their minutes, and there was a lot of action items that they still have not even done in partnership with CAP. So it's disheartening to see that there's not crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's a bit of a jump.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this, as I said, this will come to the board eventually, but it'll be a weighted participant vote, so it won't be everybody voting. It'll be only those participants that are contributing to the service that will be able to vote. Councillor Shukin.
Sorry, just a few quick comments, and I wanted to get back to the point you're making right there. But to back up what you were saying about the benefit of a regional group, mm-hmm. I think there's a lot there. Even when I had an association with the APRM, one of the things that we were trying to do is to build connections with the other groups and communities who had ALR land in their jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. A big reason for that was the potential of land coming out of the ALR, mm-hmm. and how we could cooperate on that. So I agree with everyone here that there is a good rationale for a cooperative approach. I share, I think, all the misgivings that have been said here today about putting this under the CRD. Not to say anything poorly against colleagues in other jurisdictions, but I feel like this is coming from one central Saanich. The problems that are pointed out go all the way back to the call for the review of the terms of reference that came from central Saanich. And then there was the desire for an appointment of a person we know at this table and in this community who I think would bring a lot of value. And again, there was an objection there. So it seems like the issues are from that one area. Now, in terms of what the mechanics are, so this is coming, it's a notice of motion. I think it's just going to go on the books for another discussion.
Mm-hmm. It'll be at the committee level.
Yeah. So, and whether I don't know what the record is for debating even whether this goes on like a future meeting or not, but
well, it will, so it'll go from notice of motion to a committee. If it fails at the committee, it won't come to board. Okay. But if it is recommended, then it will go up to the board. Okay. So speaking in defense of Central Saanich, they are looking at their budgets just like we are. And then they're interested in cutting wherever they can. They did start a notice of motion regarding the Victoria Family Court and Youth Justice. This was in 2022 as well, and so they wanted to opt out of the service. And there were major implications for that. If they wanted to opt out, they had to get ministerial approval. You had to have, it was, I think, 4/5 consent at the table, and they weren't probably going to get that, and they ended up withdrawing. So I suspect it's nothing nefarious. As far as I can tell, they're probably looking at their books and saying, what can we cut? Because we've got all of these services coming on, including E-Comm 911. And maybe they're looking for low-hanging fruit. I don't know. I haven't had a conversation with Mayor Windsor, but I will in the next coming weeks.
And just in terms of action, so Mayor Little, you mentioned this would come to the CRD on Wednesday?
Yes,
Okay.
but as a notice of motion, so that's not voted on.
Okay.
It's a notice of motion, so that will be brought to probably the Planning and Protective Services.
Yeah.
I'm on that committee as well.
Okay. And I'm just wondering about action for those who want to see the committee continue essentially in its current state.
You're talking about members of our community. They can write into the CRD. Absolutely. They can have a delegation at the meetings and speak to it. And I encourage everybody, if you are interested in anything that happens at the CRD, to let your voice be known.
Great.
Absolutely. Okay. I think I have enough. Go ahead.
Could I wonder if we might just keep an eye on this, and if it does move to the committee, then we can look at writing a letter. We can encourage others to. I know Ms. Sutherwood is here. I mean, it's probably something that clearly they would participate in as well. And yeah, so yeah, so action to come. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's move on to bylaws. So it's fun to have this at the end of the night. This is staff report, the 2025 permissive tax exemptions bylaw. Ms. Hanson, could you introduce this for us? Thank you.
So council has already given first, second, and third readings to both of these bylaws, and now it's time for council to consider adoption. We just have to make sure that the bylaws are adopted by the October 30th deadline.
Okay. Is there any questions for Ms. Hanson regarding, we've gone over this already. No? So shall we deal with that? Thank you. Shall we deal with the heritage tax exemption bylaw 703 first? Okay, let's deal with that. And so the option is to adopt or not adopt. I would recommend that the council adopt bylaw 703, the heritage tax exemption bylaw 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Gray. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
So I'll recuse now as I'm a trustee in Metchosin Hall.
Go ahead.
I will also recuse myself as members of my family are involved with both motorcycle club.
Okay. Okay, council remaining, we have the bylaw 704, the general tax exemption bylaw 2024. This is on page 77 of your council agenda. We discussed it previously. What say you?
I would move adoption of bylaw 704.
Okay, this is moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Epp. Any discussion? No. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. That's unanimous as well. Okay, let's get everybody back. Ready for that? Thank you. Both those bylaws passed. And then finally, we have no other business. We've dealt with the correspondence that we had. What time is it? It is before 9:30, so we have time for question period. If any members of the community would like to ask any questions, please do so. If you could state your name first and the street you live on, that'd be great.
Patty Whitehouse, Rocky Point Road. And this is curiosity, I don't know the answer to this question. The E-Comm service, Councillor Shukin, you mentioned the possibility of levy on cell phones. How would that work? Would that be a levy on use or on purchase or what?
What I understand is that it is a charge through you, it is a monthly charge.
Sorry?
It is a monthly charge, and it varies. I thought I saw 75 cents to $2. So, yeah.
Even in areas that don't have any cell service?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to ask any questions? Mr. Lamb, were your questions answered this evening?
Well, they were spoken to.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they were necessarily answered. They were
Okay.
spoken to.
Well, we'll continue the discussions, and you're welcome, of course, to attend all the finance meetings. Should be fun. Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Council Shukin, seconded by Council Donaldson. All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you.